All right. It is 8 weeks so far. It's about halfway through. Well, it is halfway through the school year. This is Linux class, week 8. Tonight, I'm going to do uh, the elk stack, and also I will hint on what you could do if you were using Squid. I'm not going to make any sort of video on Squid or how to install it. It's honestly, there's several videos on it that I've done. You can go back to my channel and look at those. Also, Dan's courses. Dan Alberghetti has some really good videos on how to install Squid. So I'm not going to do that tonight. If you guys want to follow along and do Squid, you're more than welcome to. You can do it in place of Elk, the one I'm doing tonight, or you can do it as extra credit if you guys want to get ahead. Please do and try it out. It's actually kind of fun. There are a few reasons technically why I'm not doing Squid this year. Just from the standpoint of being remote, it's really hard to do some of the more advanced things with Squid and see the real value of Squid. I may set it up and just show you kind of how it works, but I won't go into any depth into configuring it or doing anything else with it. And I think logging and monitoring systems is much more important anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and make sure that it's presented to everybody. And I'm going to go get started. Firstly, I'm going to start up a terminal. And I'm going to go ahead and hit root. And I now want to go get Elasticsearch. So ELK stands for Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. And these are actually really cool products. Each one does something a little bit different. Elasticsearch is basically a kind of a database. I guess it's the best comparison to it. It's like a database, like MySQL. But instead of having just kind of the normal table structure that you would in a MySQL database, it's designed for just log files and to be able to search through them very quickly. Then there's Logstash, which is actually what takes and uses Elasticsearch to then it collects the logs and processes them and gets them ready to go into Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch stores it, and then Logstash collects and can modify the logs depending on where they come from. They might come in different formats, and Logstash can kind of bring them all into the same format. And then there's Kibana, which is a graphical display on top of both of them, and it can show you graphs and charts of your data. Like, for example, if this were on a web server, you could see where people were hitting your server from. You can put it on any sort of server and be able to see what's happening in real time. This is awesome for security. And from a security standpoint, it's absolutely necessary to have logging and have good logging, because it helps you identify when things are happening and how to respond to them, or at least it starts you down the path of how to respond to them. And it's great from a systems administration standpoint, because all of your information is in one place, and it's easy to search through. And if you're having problems, you can just search and see what's going on. If you want to know frequencies, well, you can put that in Kibana and have a nice little graph of, hey, at this point, the system went down. And these are all made by this company called Elastic. They have grown as an open source company out of basically these 3 free products, and all of these other products they have are based off of, that open source. These are all free. I think Watcher, Marvel, Beats, and the rest are all closed source, or at least requires a subscription. Yes. Yep, believe so. Anyway, so the point is these are free and allow you greater insight into your data, particularly your logs. There's another product that I will talk about. I use it and I really like it, called Graylog, and it uses Elasticsearch as well, but it replaces the Logstash, not the Logstash portion, but the Kibana. So you can replace Kibana with Graylog, and to a certain extent, Logstash as well. And here's an example of, let's see, here's an example of one of the graphs that are generated. That's a histogram. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get started with installing it. I'm going to go and find on their page. Just as an example, I can't just find it. This is something I know that isn't in the repositories. So if I do a DNF search Elastic search. Never mind, it is in the repositories. Awesome. Well, let's actually look and see if they have Kibana. I doubt they have Kibana. Nope. But what about Logstash? It looks like they have some stuff related to Logstash, but they have Elasticsearch, which is awesome. So we're definitely going to install that right now. DNF-Y install Elasticsearch. I guess I should have seen what version it's installing. Let's see if we can find that right now. Elasticsearch 1.7.1. Okay, let's see which version is latest. Oh, 2.2.0. So they have this thing where you can either download a zip, tar, deb. And if you guys remember from last time I tried installing from a tar file, it was a nightmare. Let's go to repositories. And if we scroll down, we should see yum DNF. Okay. So it's saying we should create a file in our yum repository directory with this information in it. Okay, let's try that. And even though I'm already installing it, once I add this, it should let me upgrade. So let's wait for this to complete. And the reason I want to get their version is this is 1.7, and what they have out here is 2.2. So it's quite a bit newer. Oh man, it's really bogging down. Hopefully, yeah, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's just the one server that's probably slow. It's the first time this year my computer has been slow. I don't think it's my computer. I think it's the internet connection. Come on, I don't want to have to kill you. Okay, there we go. It got downloaded. So now it goes and installs it. Verifies it, and it's done. So now I'm going to create this repository. Now, they don't go into a whole lot of detail here of what this means. They say add the following to your etc. yum repos.d directory in a file with a repo suffix. For example, elasticsearch.repo. Well, let's do that. I'm going to do vim etc. yum.repos.d elasticsearch.repo. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, hold on a second. We use DNF, not yum. Well, because DNF is dandified yum, it still takes configuration options from yum. So if we put a repository in the yum.repos.d directory, it will use it. So I'm going to edit this file, which doesn't exist, but it will create it. And even right here, it says it's a new file. Right there, it says new file. So I'm going to go into insert mode, and I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it in here. And because I was in insert mode, it just pasted right in fine. All that looks pretty good. So I'm going to save and quit. So escape colon WQ. And now I should be able to do a DNF search, Elasticsearch. And you can see there it tried to download, or it did download, the repository information for Elasticsearch. So now I'm going to do a DNF, DNF-Y upgrade or update Elasticsearch. So this should take us from the built-in 1.7 version, or 1.7.3, to now 2.2.0. And that was very fast. I mean, that was 28 megabytes, and that came down in, what, 5 seconds? That's awesome. Way faster than 1.7.3, or 171-3. So now Elasticsearch is installed, and this is from the repository on their site, but that's just one of the 3 things. Let's look at Logstash. Let's look, there's a thing in here too where it says repositories. And it should say, let's see, Yum right here. So very similar, but it's a different repository. So I copied that. I'm going to now say, I'm going to hit up a couple times to go back to my Elasticsearch repo and change that to logstash.repo. I'm going to insert mode again. And I'm going to hit paste. Now last time it was packages.elastic.co/Elasticsearch, and then that, and now it's Logstash. So it's a little bit different. So I saved and I quit that. And now we're going to DNF search Logstash. And it downloaded the package information. There it is. So I'll do a DNF install Logstash. Yes. The -Y obviously asks, it automatically answers yes to is this okay. I didn't on that time because I had forgotten it, but that's what the -Y is for those of you who are curious. So now Logstash is installed. That's good. Now what about Kibana? Let's go here. I already clicked on the thing for this for Kibana, but they don't have anything for a repository for Kibana. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to download. I know I have a 64-bit, so I'm going to go ahead and download Kibana 4.4. I actually really like Kibana 3. I wonder if they... I wonder if you can still get Kibana 3. Kibana 3 was pretty nice. A lot easier to set up too. Yep, apparently not. Cool. Well, anyway, I downloaded the latest version, which was 4.4.2, and it's compatible with 2.2x. Kibana 4.16 is compatible with Elasticsearch 1.4.4 to 1.7, so this would have worked if we did with the built-in Elasticsearch. Kibana 4.16 would have worked, but since we're on the newest, I'm going to use that. But Kibana 3, I actually really liked. These are some of the graphs I wanted to show as to what Logstash can look like. For example, this is a map. And if you had, say, Apache logs, say you had your web server on the internet, you could actually see where most people are coming from based on IP to your web server, and you could put that on a map. So you can see, like in this example, they have a lot of hits from the US, a few from Brazil, but a lot from India, and looks like India, US are number 1 and 2. I don't know which is more. Actually, it looks like India is maybe more. And then Brazil and Russia somewhere after that. And then 2, you can see the number of events over time. This is just a counter of events over time, and then different types of events are colored differently. You know, it's a very cool way to see data that comes from logs, and logs are very, very helpful. In a lot of the things that we do with setting things up, you can see what's going on or wrong with an application, especially during install, if you look at the logs. So now that we have Logstash installed, and I've got, hopefully, Kibana downloaded, I'm going to go, I'm not going to open that there. I'm going to go over here. I'm actually going to copy that because I'm as root. And if I look at my current directory, I'm in root. So I'm going to copy that, or I'm going to move that file from my home because I downloaded it. Kibana. I'm going to move it to my local directory. So I'm taking the path to this file, which is the file I just downloaded, and I'm moving it to the local directory I'm in. Look for it. There it is right there. And I'm doing tar-xf of Kibana. And that's xf is extract and file. So I told it to extract the Kibana-4.4.2-Linux-x86 or -x64.tar.gz. And if I look now, do an ls, I see that there's a folder or a directory called that. I think that's ugly, so I'm going to move that Kibana folder to just a folder called Kibana. So this is moving from this long file name to a shorter file name. Basically, that's how you rename files, is just moving them. So now if I do an ls, you can see I have a directory there called Kibana. So I'm going to do cd Kibana. And in here, I have a README. That's nice. I'm going to do cat README. And that was a lot. Let's do a less README. Okay, so Kibana is an open source browser-based analytics and search dashboard for Elasticsearch. Kibana is a snap to set up and start using. Kibana strives to stay easy to get started with while also being flexible and powerful, just like Elasticsearch. So we've already got Elasticsearch running or installed, not running yet. Then it says run bin Kibana on Unix or bin Kibana.bat on Windows. Visit localhost 5601. Okay, so let's try this. I'm going to do a system BTL start Elasticsearch. I'm doing a system CTL start Logstash, and now I'm going to do they said bin or /bin Kibana. So this should run. Okay, so it's saying here server running at this address. If I click on that, I doubt that'll work. Let's see. Open link. I bet it fails. It's going to open Firefox. Oh, no, it did work. Interesting. I'm going to change that from 0000 to localhost. So that's all it took to get Kibana running. I have the services running and Kibana running. And I want to do, sure, cool. No default index pattern. You must select or create one to continue. Okay, well, how do I do that? I don't know. Caution, you can break stuff here. Well, I don't really want to do that then. So all this stuff is installed. I want to actually see indices. And also index time-based events. Use timed events to create index names. Actually, I'm just going to hit star in this and see if that works. Let's see if there's anything. Well, there's nothing going to it. And so while Kibana is working and all of the systems are working, nothing's happening. One of the things that Kibana needs in order to work is log information. And to do that, we need a way to get that information into Kibana. And so by default, and I'm going to do a Control Z to stop Kibana. This doesn't kill Kibana, but what it does is it stops the process. If I do a PS, you can see it's still running under Node. It's a Node app. Interesting. But it's stalled. It's stopped. So I'm going to do a BG to background Kibana, and you can see it says that there's one program running in the background, and it's called Kibana, and the and signifies that it's running in the background. So what we need to do is set up our system to take in events and take in logs from our local system. So to do that, we have to know a little bit about how Linux logs. By default, there is a logging, and I think they have switched a little bit, but for the most part, Linux uses a syslog daemon. Used to be up until a few years ago, everyone used just regular syslog-d. Then rsyslog-d replaced syslog-d, and I think now because of systemd, they have their own logging facility that's a little bit different. You can either use rsyslog or syslog-d. Either is fine. I actually really like a program called nxlog. And why I like it is it works on Windows, it works on Linux, it works on Android, on BSD, and I even think Mac. And it talks a lot of different formats like syslog, Windows Event Log, Graylog 2, JSON, a lot of different things. Excuse me. So this is even something, and it comes, I believe, in the default repositories. Let's look. We'll do a DNF search nxlog. No, not there, but let's look at our SourceForge mirrors. Actually, let's look at home nxlog log repository. Let's look at these. This one's for CentOS, and they give you an example on how to use it. For example, kernel logging, kernel output logging, and it gives you basically set up a logger. This is a parser, so it takes input from the kernel module, and it parses it from syslog, and then we have an output module here that puts it to a file, which is var log kernel, and then it defines a route where this kernel log then goes to this output. It's fairly simple. It's just setting up input and output. I could have swore they had a yes, this apparently just a anyway, here are installers for it for various operating systems. It looks like if you wanted to do that, you could just download the RPM, install it directly. In this case, I'm going to try to set up rsyslog because I believe it's already installed. So we'll do a DNF search rsyslog. And systemctl status of rsyslog. No, it's not not installed, no. So let's install it. So the way Logstash works is it collects data from one of those loggers. For example, rsyslog or nxlog. nxlog or rsyslog takes system logs and sends them to a remote server. Now, I could just as easily set up nxlog to push directly to Elasticsearch, except that Logstash actually has quite a few parsers for parsing data into Elasticsearch. So rsyslog is installed. I'm going to do status of rsyslog. It is inactive or dead, so I'm going to start rsyslog. Spell it. So now var, so I should be able to see cat var log messages. And it's saying that, great, the rsyslog daemon started. Cool. Let me do something else. I want to see now how Logstash is configured. So I'll do systemctl status of Logstash. It's running. I'm going to look at its configuration. So vim, etc. Logstash conf.d. Apparently it's not configured at all. Well, that's cool. No configuration. So I don't know how it's configured. It's probably just defaults. So let me see if I can at least see where it's running, because Logstash works as basically listening on the network, waiting for logs. So let's do a netstat -antp. This is for all. The A is for all. The N is for. Let's do help. Better. That way I can actually tell you guys what this stuff means. L is what's listening. N is for numeric, don't resolve names. So without doing N, it will automatically resolve names, which I don't want it to do. I want to know the IP addresses. T, A-N, T, apparently is an undocumented feature. I thought T stood for TCP. I could be wrong. Oh, yeah, look at that. TCP. And P is for program. So this will say all numeric TCP connections and the program is running them. And I want to look for, I'm going to pipe that to grep. So I'm going to grep and look for Logstash. Nothing. That's neat. But wait a second. I know that Logstash is a Java program. So you won't see Logstash, you'll see Java. So let's change this and look for Java. Well, now we see there are two ports that Java has open, 9200 and 9300. Now we could just as easily go to the documentation and go over here to Logstash and see, hey, let's go to the documentation. You can go to watch a video on how they set it up. Documentation for Logstash. Let's say getting started with Logstash. Okay. Setting or stashing your first event, basic Logstash example. Great. Oh, this is just using Logstash to send it a message. So this is actually a pretty good view. So data source, in this case, our local rsyslog, it's going to be sent to Logstash with an input plugin for that data source, rsyslog. Then it's going to filter it and then output it to, likely, in our case, Elasticsearch. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow along with them. Although I really would like to know. before I do that, I will follow along with them, but I do want to see where they say their system is running. Log session introduction. Well, okay, we're going to do this the hard way. So now that I know that there are two processes, or two ports open that are running on Java, let me see if I can do a PS, AUX, and now I'm going to grep for Java again. We also see that the process ID is 29063, which they're both the same. So I bet if I do this, both of these will be, oh, this is just Elasticsearch. Interesting. Oh, because Elasticsearch does need to be configured to listen on the network. My bad. So we are going to follow along with them, because apparently I don't remember what I'm doing. Let's do this. This looks fairly complicated, but it's not too bad. You can even use this to monitor Twitter and do statistics on Twitter. In fact, they do that here. They can go out and fill their database with Twitter tweets. Okay, well, let's do this. This is simple enough. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to them, etc. Logstash, conf.d. I'm going to call this linux.conf. It's a new file. I'm going to hit insert to go in insert mode. I'm going to paste this in. Now, this is mostly garbage. But in this case, I'm actually going to go in here and change this path to somewhere that we have. Now, if you guys remember, we did set up Apache, and it should be enabled on your guys' system, where if you hit it, it will generate stuff. So we'll do a var log, and because I have a terrible memory, I'm going to create a new terminal window, and I'm going to get root there, sudo -i. I'm going to do a ls of etc. Log, or not etc. Sorry, var log httpd, and sure, that'll work. Let's say access log. Okay, var log http d, I believe. Yep, and access underscore log. And right now, I'm not going to filter anything. So to get, one of the coolest things about Vim is that you can delete lines very easily. Now, I accidentally put a D there, but I'm going to delete that, so that's fine. So I'm on line 14. So you can see down here, I'm on line 14. And if I go up to the start of this, I'm on line 7. So 7 plus 7 is 14. So I know that there's 7 lines I would like to get rid of. So if I just type, I'm not in insert mode, I hit the letter D, and then I type in 7 for the number of lines I want to delete, and then I hit D again, it deleted 7 lines. But it left that one last line, and that's pretty easy. If I just want to delete one line, I just do DD, and it's gone. So now I'm going to hit escape, :WQ, and now I'm going to do a systemctl restart logstash. Now we do a systemctl status logstash. It says it's running. Now let's look and see if we have a log for that. Var log var log logstash dot log. Okay, so it's saying that the last time it ran, which was when I first started it at 7:18, it said no config files found, which is what I noticed earlier. And then it says you may be interested in the config test option, which you can use to validate Logstash's configuration before you restart a running system. Well, it didn't give us an error, so I'm hoping that's a good thing. Let's look at the error log, because they also had one of those. Nothing in there. And let's look at standard out. Okay, well, okay, cool. Now, because I don't have anything in my HTTP log yet, so let's look at cat var log HTTPD access log, right? And it's 2 lines long, not much there. So let's go back to Kibana. Now that I've pushed stuff in, it should have pushed 2, because I have an input and an output. It should push to Elasticsearch if I am correct. It should. Let's see. This should give us another line in that log if I cat it. Yep, a couple more lines in the log. That's good. Let's look at our Logstash log. Still nothing in there. Well, that's interesting. Maybe I do need the filter. In this case, right, they have Twitter and Beats and Elasticsearch file. No, that all looks good. Let me look at my configuration. Just for giggles, I'm going to do a stop of Logstash. And status of Logstash. Okay, it's not running. We'll start it again just for good measure, and we'll status again. So it is running. Let's look at that log. Okay, so just a couple seconds ago it says shutting down. And that's as far as it got, huh? Okay, so let's look at that configuration again. Oh, it just went to standard out. So actually, let's do file. And path is var log logstash logstash.output. All right, now we'll restart this. CTL restarts. We'll do a stop and stop Logstash, and we will start Logstash. And now I should have, if I go up here to cat var log logstash, should have a output. Should anyway. Path to target file. That's how it should work. Okay, so their example sucks. This is where we go and Google a little more. The Logstash and Apache logs, because that's what we're doing. Okay, still not very useful. So let's do Linode. Linode's awesome. Look, they got nice, pretty graphs too. So we've got all of that done. Java 8, we don't need any of that because we have already done this. Okay, so yeah, it's path to the log. All right, well, we'll put the filter in there. We'll put the filter in there just in case. Because we should see it in the log. In the file log there. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here. Instead of deleting all that stuff, I should have kept it. So I'm in insert mode and I hit paste. And okay, that's fine. Actually, I don't really need that start position beginning, but it should, every time that it restarts, it should start from the beginning. I'm guessing right there. Do a restart. And let's cat logstash.standardout. Logstash.log. At least we're getting some messages in there. If it's better than nothing. No errors. So that's a good thing, I guess. Let's just go back to our web page we had here. Can't remember where I put it. Oh, it was in Firefox, wasn't it? It was. So let's go back and refresh our indices there. Let's just get star. And refresh fields. Still nothing in there. Ah, fun. Love it when things go so well, right? All right. Let's see. Yeah, this is not very helpful either. Go away. Instead of Apache logs, let's get just a little bit more specific. DigitalOcean isn't bad. There's a Logstash recipe. I like that. That is mildly complicated. FileBeat. Nginx. We're not using Nginx. Why did this come up? Good. Guess I'm on my own. That's okay. We can figure this out. Oh, it's definitely running, but why is it not accepting? Let me go back to my config. I'm going to get rid of this start position. And you know what? I'm getting rid of this filter again. I don't think it's necessary. Service. System CTL. CTL restart. Logstash. Now we're going to tail dash F. Tail dash F is actually tail dash tail dash F is a very cool command because it will constantly look at a log file or any file, not necessarily a log file. It's useful for log files, and constantly look at it as it's being written to. So var log HTTPD access log, right? And I'm going to background that from the start. So you can see it gave me everything that's in there. Now, if I pop that guy over there, and I pop this guy over here, and I open up a new tab and go to localhost, you should see on this screen over here that it gives me new lines. So every time I hit that, it writes a new line to the log. So that's really helpful for me debugging this. So I'm gonna bring that back from the dead. I'm gonna foreground it. I'm gonna kill it because I don't really care about that right now. I care about logstash, logstash.log. So it is getting no messages from this. Now normally, Control Z, BG. Normally when this happens, what I would do is say, well, there's something in the service that's not happening that should be happening. So I'm going to do a systemctl stop logstash. And that's okay. So what I want to now do is look for logstash. So I wonder if I can just do a logs. Nope. Let me see if I do an update DB. I think we talked about update DB and locate. Update DB updates a database of all the files that are on your system, which then allows you to do locate and logstash. Grep bin. Okay, so it's in opt logstash. So let's do opt logstash bin logstash. So this should run it interactively now, hopefully. Okay, so let's say agent. Of course, it's actually not Java, it's JRuby, which is Ruby on top of Java. Quite complicated. Right, log sessions is a file at the slide output. Good. Ooh, I like that verbosity. So I'm gonna go say -v t. No, not c. -v -t. No configuration file. So let's say -f, etc. logstash at the linux.conf. Actually, I think that's wrong, but configuration okay. Etc. sysconfig logstash. Okay, that should work. No. Now let's just try this. -v -f. So this should start the server, or not the server, but the logstash daemon, or agent in this case. And startup completed. So opening file. It did open. It tried to do that. Let's see if that worked. If I do cat, apparently if I run it just by itself, it works. So now if I go back to Firefox, where'd you go? There you are. And put star in here again, we should get something. Timestamp. Look at that. It did work. Create. Now, right now, it's very, very uninteresting. Let's just say a data table from a new search, and it's just based on everything. Count 1. Let's say add metrics, count. No. I just want to see the raw. Well, fine. Oh, look there. We went to discover, and we see this one thing, which this one thing is the same message right here. Now, this is just one message. This is not very interesting. But what I can do with Logstash is set up to listen on the network and send a bunch of systems data into it. And that's very, very handy, especially for centralized logging. And it would pop up with one little graph here. So this is a relatively complicated project. It's not exactly easy, even for me. It took me a few minutes to get it figured out. I would definitely, if you guys have watched this and think it's too complicated, that's fine. There are some good tutorials on how to do Squid on Linux. If you just do a search for Squid and Linux on YouTube, it should pop up quite a bit of stuff. You know, here's one, Dan's courses on how to do it in Ubuntu. This is on Red Hat 6 and VMware. There are tons and tons and tons and tons of ways of doing this. But just to give you a hint, it's usually just as complicated as do a DNF install of Squid and doing a little bit of configuration. If you go check it out, it's pretty cool. You can do web filtering and filter out all the nasty stuff on the internet. And, you know, there are lists of malware domains that you can put into Squid, and they'll just block it for you. And in a lot of ways, it's better than a browser extension because you don't need to slow down your browser to use it. You can put it on a central server and then use that server's resources to block all of the, you know, nasty, nefarious, locky sort of malware out of your system by doing that. And that's great because I can then use, and I have used professionally, Squid to filter out content from the internet and content, particularly malware, antivirus, like basically using Squid as a kind of first level antivirus to keep nasty stuff from the internet off of systems. And I've definitely used Kibana and Logstash as ways of seeing what's happening and when. If I, just to see that Logstash is working, I'm going to go ahead and pump this page once or twice more. And I'm just going to refresh this. Oh, well, that's quite lame. Let's cat this out. Okay, it's got it all in there. I don't know why it's not showing up there. Oh. Let's do by minute, maybe. There's only one count. There should be more than that. Should be quite a bit more than that. There's like 5 or 6. Only one count. Well, that's lame. Well, for some reason, it is not being very happy. And I don't know why, and that's okay. But it does work. Huh. Refresh fields here. Let me see if there's, yeah, create. Hmm. Wait a minute. Let's do auto. Very odd that it's not showing the stuff that we've just put in there. The selected time range does not sufficiently cover it. Well, apparently it's not got any new data in there. I don't know why, because it does here. The selected time range does not fully cover it. Huh. By 20 milliseconds. No. Let's do a minute. Oh, up here, auto refresh. Let's see if we can go to set to now. That's probably what's going on. Go. Oh, look at that. There we go. It wasn't lying to us. Let's go to second. So you can see here, I had one hit here when I clicked refresh on my browser, and now I had 4 hits right there. This is relatively uninteresting data because it's just me hitting refresh here on my page. If this were something like my website, you'd see a lot more. I get a lot of spam. Apparently not a lot of real people like my site enough to make comments. It's just spammers. But it allows you to kind of get some really cool information. And this also tells you information like if I wanted to know, I could parse out the fact that I'm using Linux. And then you could see if you're using Linux versus Windows and who's accessing your website. It's very interesting and cool information you can get. I'm going to do a little bit more configuration. I just want to see if I can get it running as a service. So I'm going to do vim, etc. sysconfig logstash, and just see if there's anything in here. You think this is it? I bet it is. So I'm going to hit I for insert, escape, :WQ, and I'll restart. I'm going to do a tail -f of this log file, right? We should see now if this is working correctly, I should be able to hit refresh, and then we should see it pop up over here. It's 1958, and I don't see anything. Well, that is fantastic. Well, that's just not very cool. Q. That's quite lame. Where's its configuration? And so it goes and logs, it puts all that in there. So why is it not working? Well, I don't know. Anyway, if you can get it running normally, just using the command line like I did, it's good enough for what we've got going on. Basically, if you just follow along, do what I did, send me a screenshot of what you've got, particularly the nice gooiness of Kibana, which I've now closed. But send me a screenshot of that, and that's good. Also, I mentioned in the announcement today, but if you could send me just a little short paragraph just for a midterm, it'll be the assignment for the midterm. I'm really basically just basing it off all the projects, but I am interested to know how you guys have enjoyed working with Linux, if your perception of Linux has changed, and generally if this has been a good experience for you. I want to make sure that what I'm doing is actually helping people. And I know that some of this stuff can get pretty dense and pretty obtuse, and it might be hard to understand why this might be important. And right now, if it's over your head, that's okay. Honestly, just getting in there and doing things and knowing that Linux can do some of these things is really helpful. In my career, I've really come back to some of the things that I've done in this Linux class that I took probably, I don't even know how many years ago. I took it and I was able to really do things that were server level stuff. It was setting up Squid, setting up a DNS server. I would like to set up a DNS server. That might be next week. I think Dan has it in his list. So I'll probably go and do DNS whenever he does. But there are a lot of really cool things that Linux can do for free that Windows can't do. Last year, we set up a Active Directory domain controller using nothing but Linux. So it was completely free Windows domain controller that is completely compatible with any other Windows domain controller and the Windows tools used to configure domain controllers. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of really cool things that can be done. And so I hope that this is kind of rubbing off and helping you guys. If you guys have any questions and problems, let me know. I've hopefully gotten back with everybody who needs to get gotten back with. Next week is spring break. Have an awesome spring break. And I may or may not record a video next week. It won't be due, obviously. If I do record one, it'll be in the case that I am not going to be able to broadcast from Florida, which I will be on the 31st, the last day of March. I will be in Florida. So I will not be here. Not a whole lot of people show up anyway, so it probably won't affect any of you. But for those of you who were thinking about coming in, the 31st is not the day to do it. I will be here the 24th. We'll go over what we go over then, and then I'll do another video. I'll either record one next week for the 31st, or I'll just record on the 31st. It'll be a little bit weird because it's Eastern time, and with Mountain time, like it's 10 o'clock there. It's 8 o'clock here, so it's be starting at 9 o'clock there. We'll see how it rolls out, but if you guys see a video for next week, don't worry about it. Don't freak out. Everything's good. So I will be going and doing grades. If you haven't gotten with me with any assignments or anything, just send me an email with what you have or what you need to do, and just communicate with me. If you don't communicate, I'm gonna basically mark in the midterm grades that nobody's showing up. So it's probably better to get the bad grade than to not show up. And I'm pretty forgiving if you have some projects that you need done. A lot of these are cumulative. They build on each other. So if you have like this week and get it done, I can give you partial credit for the past weeks because it's taken a lot of the skills learned in the past couple of weeks to do what we've done, like say tonight. So that's all I've got. Have a great spring break, guys.